too much. And so we hold ourselves back. When we do that, we're muting ourselves. And there are too many people that are muting themselves in the world. And I, for so many years, was one of them. I've discovered the power of unmuting myself, of showing up in the world in a way that is joyfully expressed and boldly alive. That's something that has been so important to me as I've discovered how freeing it is to be unmuted, to unmute our body and to unmute our ideas and to unmute our desires, to unmute ourselves in relationships and at work, and to be our own advocates and to ask for what we want and need. The unmuted life is a life that is fully alive and fully expressed and confident and clear. And to me, it's the only way that I know how to live now. I know what it's like to feel confined and stuck and small and silenced. And I also know what it feels like to be expressed and alive and joyful and present and seen. And it's so much better of a life to be unmuted. And that is what I want to bring you into. Are you ready to unmute yourself? Let's make it happen. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to Unmuted Monday. I am your host, Rachel Druckenmiller, and I am so excited to see so many amazing people in the chat. Oh my goodness, Susanna is here. Welcome, Susanna. Always got the butterflies and the eagles and the emojis. I love that, the focus on transformation. Una is here from Ireland. Welcome, Una. We've got Sandra from Tampa, Florida. Thomas, hey there. Tom from Denver, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Tom always brings the enthusiasm and insight. We've got Russ. Russ, I hope you're doing well. I hope everything went well last week, and so glad you could be here. Gosh, so many amazing people. Anika is here, or Annika maybe. And Stephen, welcome. If you're just joining us, Daniel's here. If you're joining us, let us know in the chat. Michael, good morning. This is what a great group. We always have such a fantastic community that really shows up here. And yeah, I agree with you, Russ. Monday is always a great day. It's a great day to reset and to recharge and to recalibrate ourselves and think about, what do I want this week to look like? What kind of impact do I want to have? How do I want to be a contribution? These are all things we can be thinking about. And again, welcome. We've got New York to Ireland to Frankfurt, Germany, joining us today, Salem, Oregon. So an international audience, and it's so wonderful that you're all here. For those that don't know, my name is Rachel Druckenmiller, and I am the founder of a company called Unmuted. And I work with organizations, leaders, and teams as a keynote speaker, workshop facilitator, and leadership trainer to help them to be more confident, to be more connected, compassionate, and courageous. So it has been, and Janine is here. Yay. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad. This is amazing. I hope you can sense my genuine excitement about this. I get excited. It's like a little present when all of your names pop up. It's just such a source of joy. So I am very excited to be here, to have done my last flight. I've been traveling all over the United States for the past few months, doing keynotes and workshops for all kinds of organizations. And my last trip was to Scottsdale, Arizona. So I don't have any flights from now until the end of the year. And I am grateful for that, grateful to be home. And I want to share something that was really cool. I had the opportunity last week to meet a group of people that I've only known through LinkedIn. Had not met in person previously, including the show's producer, Tim Sohn. So Tim's always behind the scenes, moving things around on the screen and moving our boxes in and out. And he's capturing the nuggets of wisdom that are shared. And I got to meet him at an event he put on called Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer. He's a cancer survivor. And I got to meet Brian Schulman and Nancy Barrows. And I got to meet Zach Demopoulos, who's a regular on this show, and several other people. I can't say all their names. Andrea Sanchez, who our guest also knows. And it was just wonderful. It was fantastic time together. And And it just reminded me of the power of how these online connections that we have, they're not just online connections. Like, they're real connections. They're real, meaningful relationships. And if you want, feel free to drop in the chat somebody that you'd like to meet, somebody you only know virtually that you would like to meet in person. Feel free to give them a shout out in the chat. And we've got some more guests that have joined us. Christine, let's see, Christina, welcome, Christina. Jenny's here. Another connection through our guest today. We've got Mike. Welcome, Shannon. So let us know. Drop in the comments somebody, believe it or not, our guest today, I feel like we've met in person, but we haven't. And that is a long time coming, and it's going to happen at some point. But this is a person that I feel I have a genuine and meaningful connection with, even though we have never physically been in each other's shared space and presence in the same room. But it's just shows you the power of what we can form, what we can develop through Zoom calls and through conversations and through live streams. And that these are really meaningful relationships. So feel free to drop that in the comments and let us know. A couple more quick announcements I want to share with you before I introduce our guest. One is, you guys, I'm almost finished writing, but recording, producing, and mixing my first original song. I'm going to release it before the end of the year. We'll probably do a special show to do that on here. So I'm super, super excited. Can't wait to share that with all of you. It's been a dream and something I didn't even think I could do because I don't read music or play any instruments. But when you partner with people that know what they're doing, you can accomplish really great things. So more on that. I'm excited to share that. I shared a LinkedIn newsletter post last week about 5 simple ways you can promote and advance yourself at work without being a jerk. So we'll drop that link in the comments in case you want to check that out. And I'm seeing some folks, Russ saying, Tim and Rachel would love to meet you too. Una would like to meet Calvin Lawrence. Julia would like to meet my dad, Michael Bryant. He's going to be on a future show, Julia, so stay tuned for that. Janine, I would love to meet you in person too. And Una calls them connection ships. That's totally what it feels like. Stephen, I would love to meet you. Oh my gosh, my husband is here. Bill is here. Bill is a phys ed teacher, elementary, middle school phys ed teacher, and my college sweetheart. And he is popping up in the chat today, which is an unexpected surprise. Oh my gosh, muzzle tov, Elizabeth. Welcome. Glad that you're here. Oh, this is so fun. So we've dropped the link to that article if you want to check it out. I'll also share a link to my website where I've got different insights about other blog posts, podcast episodes I've been on, and then also information about the type of work I do as a speaker and how I work with companies if you want to learn more. And then we can also connect on Instagram at Unmuted Life, where I've been sharing some updates about my song on there. I've been sharing little snippets of it, and I'll be sharing some more on LinkedIn as well. So those are our announcements. It's like, whew, take a breath. I'm so excited to introduce all of you today to our guest. Our guest is someone that I met, and maybe you can correct me on this when you come on here. I want to say 2018, 2019 was our first connection. And I want to tell you a little bit about him. So Kevin Monroe envisions our world touched and transformed by gratitude. And he embodies gratitude and kindness and joy, unlike many people I've ever met, honestly. And he recognizes that by the power of gratitude, by intentional expressions of gratitude and experiencing gratitude, that we can have these fuller lives. He believes it's better experienced than explained. And I agree with that as well. And that it happens in the context of community. When it's most powerful, gratitude happens in the context of community. So he creates environments, hosts encounters, and curates experiences, allowing people to explore, express, and experience gratitude. His most recent gratitude innovation is the I'm Grateful for You movement, the link of which we will drop in the comments, that is transforming workplaces, communities, and congregations around the world. Without further ado, I want to introduce you to Kevin Monroe.
Whoa!
Kevin, welcome.
Rachel, this is so good. So good to be here. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. We've spent so many Mondays together over the past couple of years.
Yeah. So I will tell you who it was that introduced this. We connected through some online events I was hosting, but it was Jane Adshead Grant who said, Kevin, you need to know Rachel and you need to have Rachel on your podcast. And we did. And then that's when it went deeper, because you and I had been in Zoom rooms together.
Yeah.
But then we really got to know one another. And gosh, Rachel, so I have done a few LinkedIn lives, but can I just congratulate you? I mean, there are actually people here on this LinkedIn live. I mean, I've done LinkedIn lives where it's kind of like, I don't think anybody's here. And it was kind of like LinkedIn unlive. I don't know. So this is great. And I love getting to meet the people that are showing up out of your world. And there's so many people here. Thank you all for showing up. Una from Ireland, Shannon, Jenny are folks that I've seen. Linda Simpson. Oh, these are folks that come out of some of them, but these are folks that I'm in the gratitude world with, or in gratitude community. And gosh, Rachel, you just, where do we go from here? Because you said everything that needed to be said right there in the introduction. No.
Oh, well, thank you for that. I really feel like I learned a lot. I was on a lot of live shows. The first live I got invited onto was a guy named Gabe Leal, who's very active. And welcome, Nathan from Colorado. And Brian has joined us, Schulman. I was on Gabe Leal's show, and then I started connecting and joining and attending shows that Brian Schulman puts on. And he does a shout out Saturday experience that, a lot of people, particularly, especially during the pandemic, and even still, really found a lot of just community and connection in. And then I would come to his What's Good Wednesday shows. And so I just really got to see behind the scenes behind all of that. And then Tim was his producer. And I was like, I think I want to do this show thing and, curate community and just the power of really having conversations with people that are meaningful and bringing on people. I think part of it is the guest too. Like, I very intentionally bring on people that I'm like, one, that I want to talk to. And two, that I think are interesting and kind and warm-hearted. And it's just like, that's a recipe for success,
Yeah. Isn't it? Gosh. Yeah. And I'm so glad things you said in the introduction, Rachel. I mean, there's just something. I did not know this. I never read this anywhere, folks. I've not seen, I'm sure there's research on this. I found out that gratitude was better in community because we were looking for a solution to a technology problem. That's the honest truth. Well, I started hosting gratitude events July 8th, 2019 is when I hosted, and we did a 10-day gratitude email challenge. And last night I was on a tweet chat with some of the people that were with us in that very first one 3.5 years ago. But we had this problem. And isn't it crazy? We were doing a free challenge, and all of a sudden I start getting nasty emails from people over a free gratitude challenge. I don't get my email. Your emails aren't being delivered. And I'm like, I don't know. So I reached out to the company that was helping us. Our emails were getting delivered to the corporate email server.
Oh.
But not delivered to the client on their desktop, right? Because of filtering and all of that kind of stuff. So we found a technology solution that just allowed us to get out of email. And this is when we moved into Mighty Networks and started hosting, doing the same things we were doing by email, posting a daily challenge in a group where all of a sudden people were seeing and sharing other people's responses to the same questions. And gratitude grew exponentially, not incrementally, right? I mean, it's just exploding. It's like, wow, gratitude is truly better together.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like what you create so well, like Kevin, is you have this spirit of warmth that really invites people in. And you have such an intentional, I mean, I shared this in the, invitation for the show. But I mean, guys, Kevin's one of those people, and maybe you can think of somebody like this in your life, that that and hey, Enrique's joined us. Welcome, Enrique. And Rich is here. Rich Gasson, I was very excited that we were going to be chatting
Hey,
together
Rick.
today.
Hey, Enrique. Both folks I know.
I know they're such good people, very consistently show up at the show too. And just that you're the kind of person like guys, when Kevin would be on a walk, he would just call me. So you were on my heart, or I was listening back to our podcast episode and I just wanted to affirm and appreciate this thing about you, very specific thing. And I'm thinking to myself, how many people really do that these days? And that stands out. It makes someone stand out when they have that level of intentionality and it's very clear that you're doing it because you want to, not out of any sense of obligation. And that to feel seen that way is so powerful.
Okay, so oh gosh, I mean, I'm just like on overflow right here. We are closing in on 1,000 days of COVID, folks. I mean, we're closing in. It's 970 something now. Well, let's do this. Hey Siri, how many days has it been since March 11th, 2020? We'll get the answer. It's been 978 days ago. If you want to. 978 days ago, the world changed.
Yeah.
And before then, people wanted to know they were loved, valued, seen, heard, appreciated. But that's only multiplied since then. It's only magnified, right? And so many people are still feeling isolated and alone and wondering, does anybody care? Now, let me okay, I picked up my phone. We're on LinkedIn Live. So there's something I know about everybody here. You use LinkedIn, right? You use LinkedIn. Rachel, I didn't do this morning so I could talk about it on the show. I had no idea I mean, let's be honest. There were no notes exchanged. There was no prep.
Right? No, there's no script. I like to have organic conversations.
There is no script, folks. But 3 years ago, I mean, back in 2019. Okay, so 2019, February, the last week, second to the last week of February 2019, I looked at the calendar and I saw that there were 5 Fridays in March. And I had this idea. What if I hosted an event on Fridays at noon Eastern time? Would people show up? Would people join in? Would they come back? Well, I have been, so we did that. And that's when you and I first met, was one of those early times. And we just called this a hangout. There was no agenda. I mean, we try to have some structure, but there was not an agenda. It was organic. It was conversation. Week 1, I had no idea who would come, what we were doing. 9 people showed up. Week 2, the value proposition began to become crystal clear. It was people who do heart work wherever they do it and needed a place to fill their cup and recharge their hearts. That's what this became. And I've been hosting meetings weekly since March 1st, 2019. And so I was doing Zoom weekly before Zoom became the thing, right, with COVID. But one time during that, I started realizing, like, wow, LinkedIn, if you use the mobile phone on the, well, you know what? Let's just do this real time.
I love
could
it.
do this. I'm pulling up Rachel because I have Rachel on my phone right now. Because I was like, hey, what's the stream link? The StreamYard link for today's session. But let me show you something. If you go in there and you go into messaging, and you push the button, you have the ability to send somebody a voice message on LinkedIn. And it's a 1 minute length, is 1 minute. And now it's trying to just text or speech. Let me get this going again. You can go in, hit record, and send somebody a message. And it takes 1 minute. Now, this morning, I was on my morning walk. I still walk. I've been walking. I started walking in 1996. I'll just tell you, that's when I started walking every day. And I do this thing, and I started realizing, wow, I could send a message. And what if I take 5 minutes on my morning walk and send a message to 5 people? A 1 minute message to 5 people. I mean, it takes 5 minutes, folks, or maybe 6 when you're scrolling through. And I would find their names. Okay, so let me see. Okay, Shannon. Shannon is here. Let me do Shannon, because when I'm trying to So I push the button to record. Hey, Shannon, thanks for showing up on today's Unmute Yourself LinkedIn Live. It's such a joy to have you here, and you're such an important person. I'm so glad you're in my life. Shannon and I met through the graduate program at Gonzaga University. Thanks for taking time to be here today. And then I push the button and I hit send, and Shannon's going to hear my voice. Now,
Yes.
folks, there's power in this, but make sure you use the person's name so they
Yes.
know you're recording this message just for them, and they don't think you found some LinkedIn hack to send a group message to all 2,000 of your contacts, and people go, oh, he didn't really care about me. No, use their name. Hey, Rachel, right? Now, Rachel, when you sent this message last week, I was blown away because, folks, we never know what one call we make may do for someone else.
It's true.
I had no idea that I was going to be one of the first people reaching out to you when you were hit by a truck. Right? And I had no idea that 2 years later.
Yeah, it matters.
You'd still remember that.
I still have the message. Like it.
Every one of us has the power to do that. Everybody that's on this LinkedIn Live, you have the power to do that for somebody in your world.
Yes.
Do it. Do it.
Do it. Do it. Like I use that feature for sending people birthday messages a lot of times, or I'll send a video. I'll send a video of singing and say their name. To your point.
Rachel will actually sing to you on your birthday. You don't want one of those from me.
No, but you're right. Who's in? So drop in the chat. Who's in? By the end of this week, say, I'm in, that you're going to send 5 audio message. And you can only do this on LinkedIn mobile. So a heads up, if you're on your computer, where do I find it? You can't do it on your computer. You have to do it on your phone. And there's a little right next to the box.
Tablet. You can actually do it on a tablet. I found this on iPad week before last. You can do it on an iPad.
So you have 2 out of 3 options. Like, oh, yay, Tucker. My friend Tucker's here. I love it. Yes. So like that is something, take 5 minutes, maybe just drop in, I'm in the comments. If you're going to do this, and all you just have, someone has to be a first connection in order for you to send an audio message to them. They have to be a first connection on LinkedIn. But to just take a minute, it limits you, right? So the good news is like, okay, it limits you. So you're going to send 5 messages. I've done this with people that are, sometimes there's people that are really consistently, intentionally posting on my content, and I'll leave them a message and say like, isn't it? Look at it. It's happening.
Can you imagine the ripples of goodness that are going to happen this week because of people doing this simple thing? Yeah. This one simple thing. Now, what if you rinse and repeat? And what if you start doing it, once a week, whatever that is, folks, when somebody comes, and so for me, I always pause. Rachel, this is how I now, if you were to ask me, and this is how I came on this, because people would ask me, hey, how do I have more gratitude in my life? How do I grow gratitude? And I go, well, and I heard myself say this for a couple of years. And then I thought, let's create something. You pause, you notice, and then you express. It all starts with the pause. You pause. And when you pause, you think, who is that person? And if you're a person of faith, as Rachel and I are, you may pray, hey, God, who is it that you want to put on my heart right now? Who needs encouragement? And then somebody's name comes to mind. You go, okay, now notice, what is something about that person that you want to affirm, that you want to give them a shout out for, or something else that comes up, whatever you notice. And then you express it. You take a moment and you go, hey, Carolyn just popped on the screen. Hey, Carolyn, I'm so happy that we met, whatever. You're always a bright spot in my day. Whenever I see your name show up in my LinkedIn feed, I'm clicking through to see what you have to say. Hey, have a great day. Boom. Yes. That's the end of the message.
Yes. And people are always surprised. First of all, don't you find people respond? They're like, I didn't know you could do that. The number of people that say, I didn't know you could do that. How do you do that?
And then people go, oh my gosh, you just made my day, my week, my month, my year. I mean, I've heard all of those. Right?
All of it.
People saying that. All right, Scott Jones, he must be in the house. I just received a voice message from Scott. Just did my first to a guy named Kevin. All right, well, let's see. Should we play it live?
Oh, the vulnerability. Scott, are you sure you want your message to be conveyed to the world?
Oh my, Rachel, this is
You know,
fun. This is
yeah.
fun.
Well, this is what it feels like for when I think of, and we talked about this in the intro video. There's a guy named Daniel Hall, who's very talented. There he is, who put the intro video together. We worked on that together. And for me, so much of unmuting yourself is not just about like saying what you think or feel, though that's part of it, but it's like being intentional about being courageously expressed and boldly alive. And part of that is being intentional in recognizing, appreciating, and affirming people because of how life-giving that is and how needed it is in the world.
Yeah. Seriously, folks, one of the things I love is creating ripples that become waves. And when I look at this, I don't even know how many, because I can't, keep up with the chat fully. But I saw, I don't know, 8, 10, 12, 15 people. Let's just quickly do the math. If they're 10 or if they're 12 people that do this, 12, and we do it to 5 people each, that's 60 people that will be reached with a message of encouragement this week.
Yes.
Now, how many of those might go, wow, who else could I do this for? This felt so good. Oh, yeah, how do you do that message, right? And they go and do it. Folks, it happens all the time because people, it felt so good. What do they want to do? They want to share it with others. They want to reciprocate. They want to give it away. And then, wow. And then what if some of you start doing this once a week, twice a week? The ripples, they grow, and they get bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden, they're waves of gratitude. And what I know is already here. It's circling the world.
Yes. Yes.
High five, Rachel.
Yes. We've gotten more ins too. I'm in. We've gotten, like, I hope you've seen them popping up on the screen. So let us know, by the way, message us or report back or drop in the comments.
Please.
Let us know, because you're going to hear from at least one person you contact something similar to what you just said, Kevin, of someone saying, oh my gosh, you have no idea how much I needed that today. All the time.
So, Rachel, okay, well, let's do something right now. Let's do something right now. So, if you've ever attended a gratitude encounter, and several of you have, you know that we always do this in a gratitude encounter. So I want everybody here, and I'm going to join you. Think of one person that has been a bright spot in your life in the last week. And let's send them a message some way now. I'm not encouraging you to send a voice text right now because we don't want to lose you, but just send them a message and say, man, whatever that is, thank you. And when we do this, so let me tell you the backstory, one of the backstories. And Rachel, I had no idea when I started doing this work around gratitude, and we can talk about that, but September 10th, 2020 is the day that I went full-time into the gratitude business. I was on my morning walk. I'd been doing some things with gratitude, and I can take you to the side street I was on in my neighborhood when this question came into my mind. Of all of the things that energize and excite you, which there are a lot of things that energize and excite me, what is the one thing that has the broadest appeal and the greatest impact? My immediate answer was gratitude. And that day, I decided I'd hosted one gratitude encounter at that point in time. I'd done it for a friend of mine at a group called World Blue. I was like, wow, what can I do to grow gratitude? I'm going to start hosting a gratitude encounter on the first Tuesday of every month at 12 noon Eastern time. And I booked them that day. My friend Christy Kern helps, Christy helps me with a lot of projects. I said, hey, Christy, you may see something on the calendar. I'm starting to do this thing, gratitude encounters. She goes, how many of them are you going to do? I said, I don't even know. I don't remember. I went back and looked it up, and I had committed to do 7 months worth before I would decide, is this working or not? So let me just talk to somebody here. How many of you have had an idea to do something new, and you do it, and you don't get the result you want the first time? Nobody shows up to your LinkedIn Live. Hey, folks, I've been on some other people's LinkedIn Lives that there was nobody yet. I was joking about that earlier. You go, oh, LinkedIn Live doesn't work. I'm going to quit doing it. Or what if you go? So we said, I'm going to do it 7 months. I'm going to do it October 2020 through April 2021 before I decide whether to continue or not. right? We're going to do this 7 times. And in 7 times, we're going to figure it out. Well, it was clear by January of 2021, we booked them for the year. And the first Tuesday of this month, which was Tuesday, November 1st, I hosted my, what was that, 25th month of doing a gratitude encounter on the first Tuesday of every month. We continue doing them, right?
Yeah.
Just because. But I knew I could be tempted to quit. So I said, we're going to do it 7 months before we decide whether this is, should we continue? Somebody probably needs to hear, keep doing it, folks. Keep doing it. Don't give up. Don't quit. You may get discouraged. Don't quit. All right.
Yes.
So let's send these texts. Now, one of these gratitude encounters I was invited to do for a church, a church. Some of you may know, the little church in California called Saddleback. One of the biggest mega churches. And I was doing with a small team at this church. I do a lot of these. I've done these for Pfizer. I've done these for PepsiCo. I've done these for Amazon Web Services. I've done these for the National Health Service of the United Kingdom and all other kind of small companies that people here wouldn't know. But when we were doing this one for Saddleback, when we invited people to reach out to someone, send them a text, send them a note of encouragement right now, tell them why you're grateful to have them in your life. A lady that was on the call who was in charge of volunteers reached out to one of her lead volunteers and told her how grateful she was for all that she did. And her text response was, "How did you know that in this moment, I was wondering, do I matter? Do I make a difference for somebody in this world?" Now, some of us know, Rachel, you would know that's a really dangerous sign if somebody's asking that question, right? If somebody's asking that question, they may be down that slippery slope of despair, discouragement, despondency, depression. And she got a text. And the text said, "You make a difference." So let's send the text now.
Yeah, we're going to do it. I'm going to put on some music and I'm going to put on some music. And once you finish this, type "done" in the comments. You're going to send a note of encouragement to somebody in your phone. Or you can send it as a LinkedIn message, but just maybe don't leave LinkedIn. So maybe start with your phone. Somebody in your phone who you're really grateful for, who you want to encourage in some way. Just recognize and appreciate them. And when you're finished, you can type "done" in the chat. All right, almost done mine. You're just joining us. We're sending a message of encouragement and a text to somebody in our life.
You're like, I'm on a LinkedIn Live and nobody's talking.
There we go. We've got some dones. If you finished it, done. Denise is done. Let's see. Jenny's done. Annika's done. Una's done. Linda, done. So if you're joining us, drop in the comments. Let us know if you sent a message to somebody as encouragement to start that positive ripple effects. Stephen, Michael, done. And it's like, by the way, from like the totally non-altruistic part of this, you get a boost. One of the ways Martin Seligman, right, who's the father of positive psychology, says that in their research, they found that the quickest way to boost your own well-being and your own mood is to do something kind for somebody else, which is what you're all doing. Susanna's done. Stephen's done. Michael's done. Like, keep it coming.
Rachel, here's something that's amazing. Acts of kindness. So Jenny Hass is here. Jenny is one of the queens of kindness. Acts of gratitude. When you express gratitude, there are three parties that benefit. Three parties benefit. And people go, what? So, obviously the person to whom you express a kindness or express gratitude, they receive a benefit. And what you just said, you benefit when you do this. And I'll tell you a story in a moment, but you benefit. Then anybody who witnesses this, they receive a boost as well. And they go, oh my gosh. I mean, what happens in the workplace when a leader expresses gratitude to an employee? The employees that see that are much more likely to go the extra mile, to give it discretionary effort to a task because they believe it too will be appreciated, recognized, and rewarded. So this gratitude stuff, it's not just warm and fluffy and fuzzy. It does feel good. And I love that we can feel gratitude and we can feel grateful. But folks, it produces real results in the workplace and in your life.
It does. And if you're in a funk, like it's easy. And oh my gosh, who hasn't been in a funk at some point in the past 2.5 years? Like, yeah, both hands, both feet.
I thought you were going to say 2.5 days. I'm sorry. Yes. 2.5 years. Oh, yeah. That's me.
Oh, wait. Oh, wait a minute. But it's easy when we're going through hard things to be consumed by them and to completely lose sight of what is good.
Yeah.
To disconnect when you have just all of the difficult things flooding you. It's difficult to remind yourself, ooh, let me take in the good and let me extend the good. It's like this virtuous cycle of taking it in and giving it out, taking it in and giving it out. And both of those things are life-giving.
Yeah. Very much so. Very much so. Wow. Okay.
I have a question. Can I ask you a question? And Annika says, I need to jump off. Thank you for hosting this. It was needed today.
So boom. Glad you joined us.
Thank you. We are grateful that you are here.
Exactly. And you will now go make somebody else's day better and brighter because you joined for just a few minutes.
Yeah. And you probably already have made someone's day brighter because she wrote done and was in it for sending the text to somebody. So mission accomplished. I'm curious. I think a lot of people, whenever we're in a certain line of work and a certain way of being, I think there's a tendency for people to want to know, what got you into that? And I just want to point out before I finish that question, Rich saying, going to Kevin's gratitude encounters will dig you out of any funk you can imagine. Sharing with others is an immediate remedy for the funk.
Well, so funny you would ask me that when we're talking about the funk.
So there's that.
So what was your question? What got me into this?
Yeah, it's like when you think about it, and oh, by the way, Scott said, I was actually in a funk yesterday morning. My wife said, when's the last time you talked to Kevin? The power of take it in.
Kathy knows.
Take that in. Part of it is when we have these moments, I've shared this before on the show, of just these moments of really taking in and absorbing it. Because it's easy for us to have these moments of, you have a quick hit of something. Somebody says something really kind and we're like, oh, that's great. And then we move on. But to even really put your hands on your heart and be like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I didn't know this. I used to host a podcast. I've not been hosting in a while, but I had a guest, Laurie Cameron. Laurie Cameron is a leader of self-compassion. And she's who really taught me self-compassion. And I had listened to, she did a Audible exclusive, The Power of Self-Compassion, I think it was. And I'd heard her say some stuff in this book. And then we were together. And one of the things Laurie said, two things that I want to call out here. Laurie said, the act of touch activates the physiology of compassion and care. The act of touch. Now, I would think of that as if we were together and somebody's going through something hard. You either reach over and pat them on the shoulder, depending on your relationship. If you're close, you may hug them if you're a hugger, if they're a hugger, and if that's appropriate, right? Hug, whatever that is. But when Laurie's talking about this, she did what Rachel just did. She put her hands on her heart. I'm like, whoa, Laurie, what? You can activate the physiology of care for yourself. through touching yourself. So, Rachel, I do this so many more times now. The other thing I remember Laurie saying is she had pet names for herself, and they didn't start with A and end with E. Okay, some of you will get that
I
later.
gotcha.
Some of you will get that later. But she would say, "It's okay, sweetheart," and I'm like, "What? When you really blow something, you call yourself sweetheart? How amazing is that?" Right? So anyway, this just activates. So Rachel, back in, I think it was 2015, 2016, I had reconnected with a mentor I had not seen for 12, 14 years. His name's Doug. And Doug says to me, he says, "Kevin, would you join me in praying 15 minutes a day?" I'm like, "Doug, I haven't prayed 15 minutes in the last year or maybe 2 years. What do you mean? You mean like, I mean, I like to think I'm always in a conversation with God, right?" But he was like, "Pray." So April 17th, 2019 was day 744 of that journey, because I was in time blocking mastery at the time that this happened. And the way you do it is to do something for 66 days, makes it more likely that you're going to continue. So I just do things where I start a journal. And so my prayer journal, this was day 744, April 17th. And it was a dark, dark day. I was in the funk. I was on that precipice of despair. And I've been there before. I know what depression feels like. And I know those moments. It's like, wow, if you don't do something now, you're going to a dark place. And so I reached out, and I prayed that morning, "Holy Spirit, you're the creative spark of the universe. Spark creativity in me." And that morning, I could not get out of bed. I normally am up. This morning was up 4:30 without an alarm clock. I'm usually up by 5:15 without an alarm clock. That morning it was 7:30. I'm still struggling to get out of bed. Some of you know what that's like. No excitement. You're just in a funk. Funk's the best word for it. You're in a funk. So I was in a funk. And 45 minutes later, after praying this spark creativity in me, there was an idea to do something. And the idea was to do a program. And it was like 85, 90% fully formed. Well, it was a pretty audacious idea. We launched a 90-day program that we called the Extraordinary Experiment. And it was, what if you just did one thing a week for 13 weeks? Might your life be a little more, might you tap into the extraordinary if you're like me, and you just, when you look in the mirror, you see an ordinary person, right? You just, I'm just ordinary. I'm just ordinary. But I have this desire to live extraordinary. Well, week 6, the sixth journey of that was gratitude. And that's when I really landed on gratitude. It was the first time in my life when I started wondering, are gratitude and being thankful just synonyms? I no longer think they are. So I'll give you the skinny here. Saying thank you can be, and often is, transactional. We can say thank you without even thinking about it. We've been so programmed. And for those of you that are of a certain age and might remember Kmart stores, which I grew up, my mom and dad going to Kmart, every Kmart transaction you had in transaction, every one of those, they had a little sticker on the cash register, TYFSAK, where the cashier was supposed to say, "Thank you for shopping at Kmart today. Thank you for shopping at Kmart." Did they ever mean it? No. No. But they got dinged if they didn't. So it was transactional. Gratitude is transformational. And 2 years ago, Thanksgiving, who remembers Thanksgiving 2020, when most of us stayed home alone that day, right? We didn't get in the car. We didn't drive 2.5 hours to be with family. We were home alone. But I did some etymology that morning. I was doing the etymology of thanks and thankfulness, Thanksgiving and gratitude. And what I walked away with out of that, gratitude is simply lingering longer in the spirit of Thanksgiving.
Say that one more time. I know.
Yeah, gratitude
Tim's gonna
is
drop that.
lingering longer in the spirit of Thanksgiving. So it's not just thank you, the barista hands you your coffee. Thank you, thanks. You don't even make eye contact with them. It's just they stick something, you grab something, you say thanks. That's a transaction.
Yeah.
But what happens if and I know our friend Vicky O'Grady Longo.
Yes.
if Vicky were here, Vicky's not feeling well today, but if
Mm.
Vicky were here, Vicky could tell the story. I mean, what Vicky does at Starbucks or any shop, when the barista hands her the cup of coffee, she looks them in the eye and she goes, "Did you make this with love today?" And they go, "Sure, I did." She goes, "Thank you. I love you. I appreciate that." Right? That kind of thing. First off, she looks them, she makes a connection with the person. And if they have a name tag on, call them by name.
Yes.
Make this human connection. All of those things fire the sensors in our brain that goes, this person cares for me. This person sees me, values me as a human.
Yes.
Boom.
It
Transformational.
But like, boom. I hope y'all are paying, like, for everyone who's with us, like, drop an emoji of how you're feeling right now. Maybe there's fire, maybe there's prayer hands, whatever, but like drop an emoji in of like just how you're feeling in the midst of this conversation, because I'm so with you about the power of being that level of present with people in a moment that is often fleeting. Because that's what it is usually, right? Like someone does something and you don't even, like, the power of hearing your name. I was at Trader Joe's a couple months ago, and I'm always intentional about not being on my phone when I'm like going through the line, like acknowledging, how's your day going today? They're always surprised. They sometimes look up, like, are you talking to me? And I'm like, yes, I'm talking. How's your day going? Like, how's it? And sometimes they'll be like, oh, it's been tough. And I'll be like, oh man, like, and I'll try to say something that's a source of encouragement. Well, I really appreciate you, like, just being here. Whatever I'm buying, I really needed this today. So I'm so glad you guys were here. Like, to just take a moment, or when you say their name, especially, there was somebody's name that was like, it was a crapshoot a little bit of like hoping I was going to pronounce it right, because it was like a name I'd never seen before. And I was like, I hope I say it right. And I said it right. And they just had this look of like bewilderment on their face.
They do, because nobody ever says it right? Like, or nobody even tries their name because they might say it wrong.
Yeah. And we're afraid of making that mistake. And I think of just this ripple effect of kindness. Speaking of Rich Gasson, I know you know this about him, and I've shared this before on the show, but I'm going to bring it up again because it's relevant. I'm going to try not to pull my headphones out. So his mom, right, makes these signs. There was somebody in Virginia that started making these be kind signs. And his mother paints these signs, and she's painted over, I think at this point, over 10,000 of them.
Wow.
And so Rich sent some to Tim's event, Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer event last week. And I grabbed a few, even though I already had two that Rich had given me. And a friend of mine from childhood who I hadn't seen, and I love this, all these emojis, the hearts and the heart faces and all that.
I'm not sure how Michael's feeling. It's kind of questionable there.
Be clearer with us. There's a lot of ambiguity in what you've shared, Michael. So there was my childhood best friend who I'd fallen out of touch with, to be completely honest. We had kind of a little bit of a falling out, but her mother unexpectedly passed away on Halloween. Like, went to the hospital on Sunday, gone on Monday. Like, had not been chronically ill, 3 daughters, 6 grandkids, like the life of her family. So full of life and so full of joy and so vibrant, and always made people feel like they mattered. Her name was Carol. And one of the things that she was so focused on was being kind. That was, and so all of her family members had a Be Kind pin on that they were all wearing at her viewing. And over 11,000 plus, by the way, Rich says. And so I had these 2 signs that I had taken from Tim's event, and I was waiting to figure out when the right time would be to give them away. And when I saw all of them wearing these pins that said Be Kind, I was like, this is it. So the next day I brought them to the funeral, and they had a reception after the funeral, and they had all these pictures and photos laying out and flowers of her mother and of their family. And I gave them to my friend, and she set them out on the tables. They were like kind of front and center on the tables of just this reminder. And I said, I wasn't sure why I got these, but now I know why. And so the power of one kind act, like starting with Rich sending these to me, starting way before that, right? With his mom getting connected to it and starting to do this, led to an opportunity to spread kindness, and in a way to now have the opportunity to express gratitude to Rich for like, Rich, thank you for being someone who cares so deeply about people and who is so intentional and so thoughtful and so generous, because your generosity is now having a ripple effect on people experiencing deep grief who don't even know you and have never met you.
The ripple effect. The ripple effect. So, Rachel, I mentioned this earlier.
Yeah.
These I'm grateful for you cards. Let me talk about these, because
Yeah.
when I think about Vicky O'Grady Longo, Vicky has hundreds of these that she has given out. They're simple cards. One of these is a note size card, right? I think of these as a legacy card that you can write a longer note on the back if you're recognizing someone who's been a mentor, or somebody that's winning an award in your company, your team, you want to congratulate them. These it's an impact card. This is somebody you just see in the moment doing something amazing, and you write on the back what that is. So the back is blank, so you can write on them. So people write their little notes on them, give these. So Vicky has given out hundreds of these in New York City. And she has called me so many times. Last week was the most recent. But when she does this, she writes on the back what it is she saw them do, often in hospitals, healthcare, right? And we know how decimated healthcare professionals are around the world over the last 2.5 years, and how, just the challenges they have. And so she sees somebody and she writes something on the back. And two stories. The healthcare happens all the time, that she writes something. People, they look at the card, they read the 4 words on the front, "I'm grateful for you," which are just the setup for what's on the back. They read what's on the back. Tears fill their eyes. And she says, "Kevin, this happens almost every time. They take the card and press it to their heart for a moment." Then the next time when she goes into their office, guess what? It's posted somewhere visibly, because they want to see it, remind it. So last week she'd been at a Panera picking up an order for a group to take to she's a pharmaceutical rep doing some kind of demo in an office. And she wrote a card for the people at Panera. The lady in Panera didn't speak English, couldn't understand, but the manager was there, and Vicky gave her the card, and the manager comes over, and she goes, I don't understand. And the manager read her what was on the card, and she goes, "Oh." And then she tried to say something to Vicky. She couldn't, communicate. And all of a sudden, Vicky saw something. She saw the tears coming down her face. Folks, gratitude, it bridges cultural barriers. Gratitude, it's language, culture are irrelevant, right? We can express gratitude, and it goes beyond that. And it's a gift that keeps on giving. So, and folks, and then when we send them out, our marketing genius created something, Rachel. And when I first saw it, I don't know about this. It's this yellow envelope on the front. And then on the back, it has this really, really subtle message.
Yeah, very great. Very subtle.
Right, very subtle. Well, now what happens? And the first group I saw this with was AWS Latin America. I'm sitting right here. They're together in Venezuela. They pass out the cards, and everybody holds up an envelope, and we take a screenshot. And guess what? You can read, "I'm grateful for you" on everybody's envelope. And then think about all the postal deliverers or carriers that are delivering these packages, and it's just growing gratitude. Just one more way to grow gratitude.
Yes. And it's a way to unmute ourselves in a way that is just so powerful, because of how many people that we won't even know that it impacts, and how many people are just trying to make it through a day, right? How many people that we come across are like, "I'm just trying to get through today. I'm just trying to get through this hour." I mean, I had a friend on here who's popped up, Kirsten, who is a nurse. Works at help. She popped in her comment right when you were sharing that story of the healthcare worker. And I just think how important I always have, to your point, I always have these take cards with me when I travel to be able to give to people, or I have these little pass along notes that I've sent to people. They're prayers to share for hope. And I'll pull one out and be like, what does someone need to hear? And send that to them. And Well, people, people save these things, and then years later they send them. Like they send me a screenshot, right? Of
of
like,
it.
I still
Yeah.
have this.
Okay. So Rachel, here, two things that I didn't know would happen. One, I didn't realize that I would be writing a note to everyone I send these cards to.
Mm.
So I'm embarrassed to say this. I'm happy to say this now, but I'm a bit embarrassed that I've written more thank you notes in the last 5 months than I have in the preceding 50 years, right? But the power of that writing notes.
Yeah.
I just see Rach posted. I'm looking at my gratitude card from Kevin right now on my bulletin board. Like, wow,
Yes.
really?
Yes.
You know?
Same thing. Can I show you behind the scenes
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
like, hold on, this is a
Yep.
bulletin board of like note cards,
Yeah.
right?
Folks,
Like
people keep these.
people save these things.
And the second thing, I didn't know that I would become the curator and collector of stories, of encounters that people are having as they express gratitude. Not a week goes by that I don't hear from somebody, "Oh, let me tell you what happened." I'm like, "What?" That I get to hear this
Yeah.
every single week and get people to share these stories, and it's like, wow.
It's
4
amazing.
simple words. I'm grateful for you. And then you finish that with, here's why. Here's
Yeah.
why I'm grateful for you. People give these to strangers. Okay, a couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine, Jedediah, posted a story about his family going to a restaurant.
Uh,
Last week, a guy from South Carolina, who neither of us knew, orders 100 cards. Like, what? He's ordered 100 cards. And I'm like, I call him, like, what are you doing with I mean, or he goes, man, I've been trying to teach my grandkids
oh,
how to share gratitude when we go out to restaurants. I read Jedediah's story, and Jedediah's story was his kids got in on the action and they just gave something to their server, and their server was so moved. I mean, these are so simple ways. Now,
yeah.
I'd love to hear something before we go. Who's heard back from somebody you texted?
Yeah, drop in the comments. And while people are let us know if you've heard back. And then Janine shared a little while ago. She said, I've always had my now 6-year-old daughter send thank you cards. It started with showing her appreciation for birthday, Christmas, etc., and presents. My parents did the same thing. They're like, you do not play with the gift until you write the card. So she'd draw in the cards before she could write, and it grew from there. She started asking me to send people cards for all kinds of things, even randomly, just to make their day. And she is 6. Her daughter is 6.
Okay, so let me tell you, here is in okay, so there's a lady right now. We're hosting a program called 30 Days in the Power of Gratitude. It started on November 1st, runs the whole month of November. And I'm on a mission to grow gratitude globally and generationally. Now, there's a lady, her name, um, uh, gosh, why am I drawing a blank on her first name? Julie Rose. Julie Rose. Julie Rose is with us. She's on LinkedIn. You can find her. She tells me we share a video each week. First week, she goes, "Oh, my husband showed that video to his 5th grade class." I'm like, "What?" And then last week there was another video. She goes, "Oh, my husband showed that video to his 5th grade class."
Oh.
And I'm like, folks, I mean, how these waves and ripples happen.
Yeah.
Right? Organically. Julie didn't know that that was an ambition of mine or an aspiration to grow gratitude generationally, but she's so impacted. She's just telling her husband. Her husband goes, "Oh, let me see that. Oh, wow, I should show this." And
Yes.
when we get gratitude sown into the lives of children now, imagine how different their life will be growing up in gratitude, grounded in gratitude.
Amazing. I mean, can you believe, Kevin, that we're already at the end of our time?
Can we go for another hour? I've got a meeting starting in 60 seconds. A
Well,
gratitude gathering, at least.
I just want to say, and Janine says, thanks for that warmed my heart. Thanks for the shout out. Just drop in the comments again if you've heard from someone that you texted back. Oh, Steven said, I heard back. She said, thank you. So like already one impact. Again, let us know again if you're recommit, if you're into sending 5 audio messages to somebody in your network, 5 different people in your network this week. Drop it in. I'm in, committed. We're going to drop in the link, Kevin, for people to learn more about that initiative that I'm grateful for you. So that link will be in the comments for people to learn more. But I just want to say thank you for the joy that you brought today. Thank you for just that. I feel like there's this just effervescence and overflow from your spirit that is so like transcendent, like beyond what a StreamYard can capture. And I appreciate how much you brought your whole self, every bit of you and your presence and your joy and your heart today. So thank you. Everyone felt it. Everyone felt it, and I felt it.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. God. So, I love you, Rachel. Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome. I love you too. And I'm so glad we got to reconnect and that this was the reason. This was the reason to reconnect. And now we'll get to do that more offline too. But I just, Jenny said, I heard back from one of the 3 lifelong friends I sent a group text to. Janine, have to run, but thanks so much for this. Stephen, thank you so much for the free spirit energy. Great times today. So thank you all for everyone who joined us today. If you're watching the replay, let us know. This is something that hopefully is going to be a catalyst for you having a different kind of week. A week full of gratitude, a week full of joy, a week full of intentionality and connection. So thank you all for being here, for being present, for doing our little in the moment exercises. And Rich says, yes, thanks to both for your loving kindness. Go make disciples. Yes, like that's what we have the capacity to do.
And everybody here or everybody watching whenever you watch this has that power.
Yes. Every single day. Like of all the things you can't control, this is a really big one that you can. So thank you all. Thank you, Kevin. This was the best. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks for our next episode. And then there will be a song release that's going to come out for my song, Somebody. So I Am Somebody is my song. So anyway, you're going to hear more about that coming up. So can't wait. Kevin, you rock. Go to your meeting. Thank you for being amazing. Thank you everyone for being here. Susanna, Rich, Stephen, Janine, Jenny, everybody. And have a great week. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Bye.